Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered what are the best Super Sugo Fest exclusive units in the game and which ones should you aim for in Sugo Fests? Especially if you miss multiple Super Sugo Fest exclusive units or generally the same amount of a Super Sugo unit from each part of the general Sugo Fest. Well, if you have wondered that, this is the perfect video for you because we are going to do a Super Sugo Fest exclusive legend tier list. We are going to talk about all of the Super Sugo Fest exclusive units and which ones, at least in my opinion, you should prioritize on getting. First things first, let me explain my tier distinctions. In the double S tier, we are going to have the best units in the game in my opinion, the cream of the crop, and the units that you should absolutely prioritize on getting if you miss them. In the S tier, we have amazing units, very helpful to have in your box, and they can make an impact in many teams and help you beat many quests. In some pieces of content, they can even be better than the double S tier units, although they have generally more weaknesses. In the A tier, we have units that are still good to have, but they are not going to be a necessity in majority of the quests. You can play around not having them by using other units of the same type or class. And in the B tier, we have units that are still good because all Super Sugo Fest exclusive units are good, but they are not a necessity to have. You can definitely do without them in your box, and you should definitely prioritize other Super Sugo units over them. Another thing that is very important to note, a tier list cannot be the end-all be-all. In One Piece Treasure Cruise, it always will depend on the content and the units you have available in your box. In addition to that, this is a game, so characters you enjoy from One Piece or abilities you like using always can take priority. Without further ado, let's get to my tier list, talking about the Super Sugo Fest units in chronological order. Starting things off, we have Roger and Oden. Roger, in my opinion, easily double S tier, one of the best, if not the best captain in the entirety of One Piece Treasure Cruise. The Pirate King is just incredible, even though he is technically the first Super Sugo Fest to ever release. He is a global 5x captain with matching slots, he can completely remove despair, and he is the only captain in the whole game that can stop the main boss or the enemy in general from removing your beneficial effects completely. He gives you up to a 3x attack boost, which is pretty easy to get, and of course that attack boost is awesome. He can do 1 million damage to all enemies that can ignore defensive effects, meaning barriers as well, and also now, one of the few units that can do that as well, and then he can even extend your ore boost, something underrated about him. For example, if a unit gives you a 2x ore boost, like V3 Law or Oden for a better example, if you activate the ore booster before Roger, then you can carry the ore boost through stages, and the boss cannot actually remove the ore boost since Roger does not allow them to remove beneficial effects. His super type is also awesome, gives you a full board of guaranteed matching slots, even through block slots, and also locks them, so technically you can have guaranteed matching slots for 2 turns, if of course they won't get manipulated, but it is such a simple but still to this day very good super type. He is Sai and Free Spirit, one of the best type and class combinations in the whole game, even though all this time has passed after his release, and even though he does not have a final tap ability, the Pirate King is definitely on top. With Oden, because he is one of the 2 Super Sugo Fest units that have a super evolution, along with Yamato, we are going to talk about the 6-star version and the 6+ version as different units. The 6-star version is in B tier in my opinion, the 6+ version though is in S tier. Simply enough, if you already have Oden, you definitely do not need to go out of your way to get a dupe of him to have in his 6-star form as well. This is not like the Yamato situation, his classes or color do not change, and the 6-star version doesn't really benefit you over having the 6+ version in any situation. The 6+ is way better, and if you do have Oden, you definitely should super evolve him, and then you shouldn't really care to get a dupe of him. Oden is still a global captain up to 5x, and you have Wayne Orb manipulation with him, which is good. Not the best Wayne Orb manipulation, but still Wayne slots can be very strong, especially because they give you a higher attack boost, but they are also not able to be manipulated by the enemy. His super type with the 6+ version is now way better because he can give a Wayno slot even through block slots to the captain and the friend captain, and then also boost the base attack by 1000 for one turn, which is awesome. With his special ability, he makes matching or strength slots guaranteed Wayno, and then he boosts the orbs for strength, slasher and free spirit by 2.75 times. This orb boost multiplier is great, but the obvious weakness here, only for strength, free spirit and slasher even though he is a global captain. Immediately with Roger we see a difference. The attack boost that Roger can provide is for everyone, it is unconditional, but with Odin it isn't, that is why he cannot be double S, in my opinion. Still a good unit though, Odin is a very popular character and I am very happy that he got a super evolution because he definitely deserved it. In case you missed the opportunity to get his calls and you are a newer player when watching this, if you cannot super evolve him, then Odin is not really S nor B tier. If the 6-star version is your only option for Odin, I would place him somewhere in the middle. So he would be an A tier if you cannot have his super evolution. Moving on to the Onigashima trio, Luffy, Law and Kid of course, beginning with Luffy. I think he is a very reasonable A tier unit, even though a lot of people seem to not necessarily hate but not really like, I would say, this Luffy. He is very simple, not really unique, but that does not make him a bad character. I believe he is a very good Q lead, he is actually very strong, he can provide damage, a 2.75 times attack boost is very good for fighter, free spirit and Q units, so he does have restrictions, but still the damage can be very good. With his super type ability, he can reduce special cooldown for the same color and classes, but he can also give you an 1 times chain boost, which is also very nice. He just needs a straw hat as a sub, which is not really that hard to accomplish, pretty easy I would say, and his captain ability, again for Q fighter and free spirit, is at 5 times, not a global captain, but still, for what he can provide, he can be very helpful in many quests, even of course in Kizuna. His final tap ability, not the best, also pretty simple, and since this is technically one of the 3 first final tap abilities, I would say you shouldn't really look forward maxing it out, definitely save your tablets for something else, but if you have this Luffy, he can serve you very well. Not a necessity though. I don't have him personally and I have never found the necessity to use him. If I did need him maybe to provide me a higher attack boost than I could get, I can always use him as a friend captain and he can also play that role very nicely. The perfect way to summarize this Luffy, he is a simple and good unit, but not a necessity for your box. For Law now, I would have to place him in S tier. A better unit than Luffy, he is more unique in the sense that he can provide increased damage taken to the enemy for 1.5 times, which goes through immunity. That is very helpful for your damage, it can be helpful in almost any situation if you have room to fit him to increase your damage. If he is your captain, it works perfectly, but even if he is a sub and he is not even boosted by your captains, he can still provide you with extra damage. No other unit in the game can do that, so Law needs to be in S, and on top of that, just like Luffy, he boosts 1 color and 2 classes as a captain and with an attack boost for 2.75 times with his special. He boosts Dex, Cerebral and Slasher. The class and color combinations are not better than Luffy's, but the overall unit I think will be useful in more situations than Luffy will be. For his super type requirement, he needs one of the supernovas in the crew, which is fine, not that hard to accomplish, and then he can provide overheal, but also he can change all the block slots to matching, which is pretty nice, and also lock them for 1 turn. Now with his final tap ability, it is once again more unique than Luffy's. Luffy is generally made more simple, I think, more new player friendly, also because he's Luffy. But with Law, while he can be more unique and maybe provide even more damage than Luffy at level 5 final tap, I still wouldn't advise you to max him with tablets. If you get dupes of him, that is fine, you can max the final tap ability, but because his conditional attack boost and generally his final tap doesn't go through immunity, it is not the best thing ever. Yes, it can be good and useful in some situations, but they need to be specific where you can get a defense down and also a defense down conditional attack boost. As a captain, he can also provide some matching slots and some slight healing, which is nice, providing survivability to your crew. To complete the Onigashima trio, we have Kid, who I think will be placed in A tier as well. Not because he is a bad character, I don't think he is. He is more unique than Luffy as well, but I think Luffy is more straightforward and maybe can help more people out in more situations, while Kid needs you to build around him more. Maybe you need a healer in your team, maybe you need to not stall a lot or not take a lot of damage in stages where you stall before you activate his special. The color class combination here is Strength, Striker and Driven, which is not bad, he is still a good captain of course, and he allows you to reduce damage taken as well. For his HP manipulation, he technically can activate his special 3 times or even more if you really build a team around him, but the 3 times will be the important part, and he can give you 2 Strength, Striker and Driven units, an attack boost, an ore boost and a color affinity boost, all for 2.5 times except the color affinity which is for 2 times. And getting these 3 boosts only from one unit is actually very strong. With his super type, he can also allow you to remove burn for 3 turns, not a huge thing, but a little bit of utility, won't hurt anyone, and he can give you a full board of matching slots, something that does not unfortunately go through block slots. If he can do all of that, why is he A tier? As I said, the HP manipulation can maybe prove to be a problem in some specific pieces of content, and on top of that, I am not a huge fan of his final tap ability. I actually think that if you do not have him level 5, he is not even worth to level up. Levels 2, 3 and 4 are not good. Keep him at level 1 in my opinion, he can be more useful. If you do not know, with his final tap at higher level, he can provide a chain lock that overrides any other chain multiplier, which can be annoying now with increasing chain boundaries and also high chain boosts that we can get from many units. That's why I think the level 1 final tap is good here, because his normal attack will deal damage to all enemies present on the stage, which is pretty nice and pretty unique for Kid as well. Another thing about this Kid is that his super type needs you to activate his special twice in order to be activatable, which is not the biggest of issues because activating his special twice is not that hard. Activating his special 3 times is way harder of course. But let's say that the enemy in one of the stages has HP cut, everything becomes harder now and Kid might not even be that viable. And you might prefer another strength unit because we have plethora of good ones to use in his place. I think the A tier is pretty fair for this Kid alongside Luffy. Next up we have the 2 versions of Yamato. The Int one is the 6-star version and the Psy one is the Super Evolution, the 6+ version. Both of them super type units of course, the one for Int and the other for Psy respectively. Now the main difference between them, the color class combination. For the Int Yamato, we have Driven and Striker units being boosted by the Captain ability, and also the character is Driven and Striker, while for the Psy version, we have Free Spirit and Striker. Both of them with the Captain ability boost the respective colors as well, not only the 2 classes. That is the main difference between them. The super type is the same, the final tap is the same, the multipliers the same, the special exactly the same. The Int Yamato, in my opinion, the 6-star version goes to A tier, while the Psy version, the 6+ Yamato, goes to S tier. It is simply a better combination of things in my opinion. Free Spirit is one of the best classes in the game right now, and Psy is also extremely strong. Yamato is a very strong character, and some of you might be surprised why I do not have this unit at the double S tier, but in my opinion it is just a tier below the units that I will put double S. Removing bind for 10 turns is very good and unique. The chain boosts you can get from Yamato are awesome, And in my opinion, the fact that the final tap provides you extra chain boosting for the final hit instead of chain locking, like in the kid situation, is infinitely better. This is a final tap that if you get dupes of Yamato, you are happy to increase. With the Yamato special, you have an HP cut in your kit for 20%, which is not incredible, not that useful in my opinion. The increased damage taken to the enemy is awesome at 1.75 times, but it does not go through immunity, like Laws, so that is definitely a drawback. Perfects are easier to hit with the special, pretty nice. The chain boost is great at 1.3, and then she can make block and matching slots into Wano. And matching doesn't mean technically matching by a sailor ability or a captain ability or a support or something like that. It means the same colored slot as the color of the unit having it. That is another slight drawback that Yamato has in my opinion. The Wano orb manipulation, it is not the best, but if she could make every orb Wano and then she could also make the increased damage taken to the enemy go through immunity, that would probably make this unit broken. So I can definitely understand why the special has some limitations. Her super type is also very nice, boosting the chain multiplier even further. It is not the exact same chain boost. One of them is like the swap of Sanji Judge. So it increases the rate of your chain being boosted, and generally it is very easy to get as well, because you can just get it by activating her special. Very accessible super type. If you only have one Yamato, you definitely should super evolve the unit. One, because you can easily acquire skulls to evolve and unevolve her in situations where you want a Psi or Int version, but generally I haven't really used the Int version. I don't think it is bad, maybe I just didn't really pay attention on using it because I do have her twice, but I just think the Psi version is way more useful, especially because of the free spirit boost. Driven though is a class that is becoming increasingly better lately, so definitely keep an eye out for the Int version of Yamato being better in the future. In a quest where removing bind with a captain ability can benefit you and also you need a lot of chain boosting, Yamato is the perfect captain. Is it worth, if you only have one version, to go get a dupe to have both of the versions? I don't think so, but if in a Sugo Fest, in a specific part, Yamato is one of the units you miss because you do not have her twice in both forms, then definitely if you get the unit, it would be a great bonus, but I do not think it is something that you should definitely go after. That is why I have the Int version in the A tier. Next up we have the V2 Straw Hat crew, insane unit, straight off the bat, SS. Alongside Roger, the best Super Sugo Fest units in the game in my opinion. They are crazy good. Their final tap ability, especially at level 5, can increase your damage by tons and tons. Then, as a captain, they can allow boosts to be universal, even if the specific special you activate states that it will be a specific class or specific color boost. For example, if it is a slasher boost and the Straw Hats are captain, it becomes a boost for everyone on the crew, a universal one, which is crazy, amazing captain ability. For the Straw Hats to have, of course, it is very fitting because they make everyone around them better, but it is just extremely good. They of course are a global captain, they can even provide you with healing, they boost your attack and your HP by a very good amount, especially in the dual form, and then as a sub or with their special in general, they can provide an attack boost, an orb boost, a chain boost and a color affinity boost. They can also provide you with a full board of rainbow slots, a slot that cannot be manipulated by the enemy or even you, and then if you activate them a second time, maybe you have them as double captain, they will lock those slots and increase all of the beneficial effects you have for one turn. So, since the special activation initially will give you 2 turns of buffs, then they will be extended and you will have buffs for 3 turns. Pretty crazy unit. They also have a super swap, removing paralysis, and also Ship Bind for 4 turns. Ship Bind can only be removed by limit break abilities, except if you have the super swap of the Straw Hats. Is it something that you will use very often? Definitely not, but still a good option to have available. The paralysis is definitely more common. Some drawbacks for this unit: all of the buffs I mentioned, except the chain boost, which is plus 0.8, are for 2 times. Not the highest amount, but you get all of those buffs, which is the majority of the buffs you will need in a quest, from only one unit, and you also get rainbow slots. You can always use other units to increase those already existing buffs, or maybe use a unit in the next stage to get more. Maybe chain boundaries, a conditional attack boost, or someone to boost your base attack. The special, of course, has a limitation. You can only have one buff maximum when you activate it to get the rest of the buffs. Differently, you will only lock your slots and extend your already existing buffs if they are 2 or more. Also, if you do get the buffs, you only have the ability to activate that special. You cannot get more buffs in the same stage or the same turn. The next turn or stage though, you can definitely get more buffs like a conditional attack boost or the other buffs I mentioned before. Some limitations were needed in this unit just to not make it completely broken forever, but it is a very strong unit, no doubt about that. I am pretty certain everyone agrees, and a unit that if you have in your box, you will be definitely happy you pulled it. And finally, we have Roger and Newgate, another dual unit here that I will place in the S tier. Roger and Newgate are awesome. They are a very good unit, especially a great sub, because their swap gives you an attack boost and an ore boost for everyone. This is insane. Their super swap even gives you a higher multiplier of both boosts. As a captain, they have some built-in utility, which is great, removing some debuffs for 1 turn if you are on the Roger side. They can remove despair for like 20 turns or something, which is great. And they can increase your already existing attack boost if you are Roger and ore boost if you are on Newgate to 3 times. Even if it is an 1.1 buff, they can increase it to 3 times for how many ever turns the buff is, which is actually very good. One of the things that is not great about them, even with all of the boosts they can provide, is that as a captain, and with majority of their boosts as well, they are not universal. They are for striker and slasher units. Definitely a limitation, but a very well deserved one because the unit is a 5.5 times attack boosting one as a captain, which could definitely make them broken if they were a global captain. If you activate your one Roger Newgate, then the other one does not become useless. You can swap and activate the other form, and you do not only have a different color, you also get different stuff, which is pretty nice. Definitely a unit that deserves to be S tier, and you should be very happy if you manage to pull. And that concludes my tier list. I believe that Roger and the V2 Straw Hats are on the tier of their own because they are just that good and can be useful in so many different pieces of content. If you get these 2 units, or if you get any of the units in the S tier, you should be very happy because you are about to use them a lot. Tell me down below in the comments though, do you agree with my list or you disagree? If you disagree, what exactly would you change and why? Let me know, I would be happy to discuss with you and talk about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more tier list videos for me about One Piece treasure cruise in the future, definitely leave a like to let me know. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece treasure cruise content, of course. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.